Singapore is a food lover's paradise. In fact, our country has placed first globally in terms of food security in 2018, according to the Economic Intelligence Unit. So what precisely is food security? According to the United Nations, food security is when people have the physical, social, and economic means to obtain sufficient and nutritious food at all times. We conducted a public survey to find out the perceptions of Singaporeans about food security.
Yes, I do think so, as there are some places, for example, are not as easily accessible like compared to others.
In Singapore, I think maybe a very small handful.
However, did you know that a startling 27% of Singaporeans aged 60 to 69 do not meet the intake of fruits and vegetables as prescribed by the Health Promotion Board? A recent study by the Land Centre for Social Innovation estimated that 18.7% of Singaporeans may potentially be suffering from severe food insecurity. Indubitably, food insecurity is an increasingly significant but overlooked socio-economic prevalent issue which affects both the elderly and low-income households. Why has food insecurity become entrenched within our elderly demographic? One such cause is physical immobility. With reference to a 2017 article by Today Online, approximately more than half of the elderly in Singapore are frail, with greatly restricted movements. Unable to travel far distances to purchase fresh groceries regularly, they resort to eating canned and packaged meals with longer shelf lives, lacking vitamins or packed with unhealthy preservatives. Consumed for long periods of time, nutritional inadequacy may limit the elderly's food security. Furthermore, from an ideological perspective, the elderly often treat food as a flexible commodity of low priority. Money is usually funneled towards meeting more urgent needs such as expenditure on rent and utilities rather than food, increasing the elderly's vulnerability to food insecurity. Regarding low-income households, an economic dimension also comes into play. In 2018, 49.7% of Singaporeans suffering from food insecurity had monthly household incomes between $1,000 and $2,000. Why so? Nutritious foods tend to be more expensive than unhealthy items. With reference to a 2016 article by Channel News Asia, brown rice, a grain with high nutritional value in its glycemic index, is 50% more expensive than white rice. Low-income households are unable to afford such nutritious options, compromising their nutritional needs and likely becoming food insecure. What are the destructive impacts of food insecurity? Firstly, one significant physiological impact is a greater vulnerability to diseases for those food insecure, a hidden impact uncovered in the long term. Nutritional inadequacy contributes to lower immunity and potentially higher incidence of diabetes, a particularly strong source of national concern. In fact, in a 2011 study by the National Centre for Biotechnology Information involving over 200 participants, individuals with very high levels of food insecurity were found to be 3.3 times more likely to have type 2 diabetes. But how is food security relevant to us? With Singapore's elderly demographic slated to rise and account for 50% of the population by 2050, healthcare institutions will require more medical resources to treat a greater number of food insecure elderly. Doing so would translate to higher healthcare costs for ordinary citizens like us. A 2015 study by the Canadian Medical Association Journal predicted that total annual healthcare costs were 76% higher in households having severe food insecurity. Fulfilling our family's healthcare needs is only going to become more expensive in the long run if food insecurity persists. Nonetheless, it is our fundamental social responsibility to demonstrate care and concern for these food insecure individuals who have fallen through society's crevices. What can be done to help food insecure individuals within our society? You play a crucial role in mitigating this prominent issue and have the ability to bring about greater societal change. On an individual scale, you can reach out to and teach your grandparents or elderly neighbors about the importance of proper nutrition to raise awareness about food insecurity so as to ensure they prioritize food, promoting a culture of healthy eating among our elderly. Within your community, you can also carry out social work to make a personal difference. you can volunteer in community support organizations such as Willing Hearts and Soup Kitchens to deliver fresh groceries to physically immobile elderly on a regular basis, fulfilling their nutritional needs. As a citizen in a democracy, you can also sound out your views to your MPs by writing into the government via online channels such as Reach or during Meet the People sessions. Your MPs would represent your views in Parliament and advocate for bills which you support, such as providing more financial assistance to low-income elderly households. Once enacted, these policies would be enforced by the judiciary and authorities would be able to lend a helping hand to food-insecure individuals under a financial strain. Food insecurity undeniably requires our immediate attention and concerted efforts to make a difference. Together, let us play our part to truly make Singapore a food lover's paradise for everyone.